Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. So I actually have this video that I wanted to watch with you guys. It's regarding officers attacked during the Fury Street Takeover chaos. This is from Fox News. I believe this happened on October 5th, but I wanted to kind of go over it with you guys because I feel like, look, I keep saying this in my videos and I don't know what to think anymore. So you guys tell me in the comments below how you kind of fall on this. I feel like at any moment we're going to just break into a civil war. And it's crazy because I watch, like I told you guys, I watch a lot of different videos. I watch like lives of, these peaceful protests. And as I'm watching all this stuff unfold, chaos is just getting worse and worse and ramping up crazy style. And then, I also watched this guy named the Canadian Prepper. He talks a lot about, all the different things that are popping off, whether it's in the United States, whether it's in Russia and Ukraine. And, I also have that on my mind in regards to like civil war and, World War III, because he talks about, the stuff that's going on, between China and Taiwan. And it's just kind of insane. Like, I'm waiting to see what the other shoe to drop. And it's kind of like a game of chicken. I'm like thinking, like, is it going to be World War III? Is it going to be Civil War? What's going on here? Not to sound a little loony, but I think at this point, we've seen so much different chaoses. Like, how many people are you waiting for, like, a zombie apocalypse or an alien to attack us, like, from outer space? Like, not gonna, be cynical here, but I'm just gonna say, like, it'd be very crazy cool for that to happen. I would probably prefer that than over a Civil War or World War III. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comment. I might be a little insane. I don't know. But let's just go ahead and jump into this.
They were throwing explosives, like firework-looking explosives. All, like, the people were out running, and there was about probably 25, 30 cop cars. But that cop car lighting on fire because of the explosives was insane.
Boston cops under attack when a street takeover descends into chaos. At one point, agitators shoot fireworks at a squad car, causing it to burst into flames. Look at that, with an officer trapped inside.
Okay, that's insane. Like, those people need to go to jail. Directly to jail. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Because that's insane. That is no longer like youth shenanigans. That is straight up like they need to get the death penalty for trying to murk a police officer. And if any of these people are youths, because you know how they like to try and make it seem like these are like children and little kids, but then you find out they're like adults. I think that they should have some consequences to their actions. Enough softball. Enough like trying to be all sweet to these people. We need to like lay down the law, and now we need to be in the we're in the F around find out kind of stages, and we already need to be in the find out part. I mean, what are your thoughts for that one? Do you think we should just cross the board? Let's find out.
Now, as the crowd continued to wreak havoc, two suspects, an 18-year-old and a 19-year-old, were arrested and charged with assaulting a police officer. Hello, everyone. This is Outnumbered. I'm Kaylee McEnany here with my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Emily Campagno. Also joining us, Molly Hemingway, Fox News contributor, and joining us on the couch for the first time, we're excited to have him, John Ashbrook, co-host of the Ruthless podcast. Welcome. Well, the president of the Boston Police Union says his officers were always targets.
It has happened the last couple of years on a single incident or maybe a couple of incidents through the summer where it used to be drag racers would come in. They'd come in 1, 2, 3 in the morning, separate communities, spin the tires, make a bunch of smoke, and then go on their way. And we would monitor them, rightfully so. But what happened last weekend got out of control. It went through 4 different communities, ended up here at a couple of locations in Boston, and each location that they went to in this past incident, it appears as though they got more aggressive. And when they ended up in the downtown South End section of Boston, that pretty much, in our opinion, looked premeditated. They knew what they were going to do, and they were hell-bent on attacking police officers.
Massachusetts Governor Maura Healey pledged to put an end to this dangerous trend.
Anyone who engages in that conduct will be found and will be held accountable to the furthest extent of the law. I just want to be really clear that we have zero tolerance for this in the state. Some of the perpetrators are from Massachusetts. Other perpetrators are coming into Massachusetts. But whether you're in...
I think that's a problem right now because, like, for all these protests that are going on, you know, like the ones in Portland, the one in LA, the one in Chicago, I think there was some in New York too. What's getting insane is that most of these people are not even from that state. So, like, I've said this before in my previous video, what the ones in Chicago, because, you know, I'm a Chi-Town girl, all right? I was born and raised Chicago in the back of the yards. And so we have a certain, like, dialect, you know, just like every, like, state has their own, like, the way they speak, you know? Like, I watched this one from New York, and he had that Boston, you know, accent. I'm not very good at accents, just so y'all know. And then the one in Texas, like, people that I have fam in Texas, and they're always saying y'all, like, when they talk. And, you know, of course, us from Chicago, you know, a lot of people think that we talk, like, the way they over-exaggerate us, where they'll say, like, we say, the Bears. And it's like, no, we don't sound like that, but okay. But we do have a slight accent. I ain't going to deny that. But, like, being from the hood, there was a certain way we talked. We didn't say carnal or ese. You know, we weren't Chicano style. Like, that was straight up, like, something out of LA. Like, if you watched, you know, Blood In, Blood Out, y'all know what I'm talking about on how they speak. But us from the Chi, we're more like, we say, like, dog, dude, bruh. We don't, and, you know, dude is for everybody. You know, like, I tend to say it to this day. I'm like, when I talk to either chicks or dudes, I would be like, hey, dude, you know, like, to the females. But we even, like, for example, like, you heard me right now. I said chicks. Like, that's just how we talk. You know, that's how you talk from the hood. You'd say, like, there are some similarities, like when you would say, like, hey, I'm headed to the crib, you know, stuff like that. Everything's a car. Nothing's it's either a car or a truck. Nothing is ever what it really means. But, you know, there's certain dialects. And so when I would watch these lives of these protesters talking, some of them sound like they're from the Valley. Others sound like they're from LA. And it's like, y'all ain't even from here. Who invited you? You know? Like, oh my God. But I feel this chick because, you know, she's right. Most of these agitators are probably not even from there, and they could give two, you know, F's about what happened, because then they get to move on to wherever they are from, you know?
Massachusetts, or you think about coming to Massachusetts, you are not welcome to engage in that conduct at any time, in any place, anywhere in this state.
But lighting a cop car on fire in Boston was just the finale for these vandals. Earlier in the night, crowds at other street takeovers across the state shot fireworks at cops, almost hit an officer with a possible stolen car, and blocked crucial roads leading to a hospital. Emily, yet again, we see this, an 18-year-old, a 19-year-old, this time assault and battery. And my question is, how do you stop these individuals? This seems like an intervention point when someone's 18 or 19 years old from becoming a career criminal who could go on to perpetrate other violent crimes.
Yeah, you stop through deterrence, and that means enforcing the laws, and that means equipping the judges with some type of a modicum of control and influence over the outcome, so they don't sit there and say, my hands are tied, they're juvenile, so we're going to put them through family court, they'll be out in 2 seconds. Look, what I see here is a pattern that's very frightening, and to me it's reflective of the prior administration's lax policies and the Democrat and liberal DAs that have been allowed to foment and fester in all of these Democrat cities, and that is that out-of-state agitators, out-of-area agitators come and join what they were sort of describing as a ruckus. I mean, you heard the police union chief talk about it, the president talk about, look, it used to be, you know, drag racing on the streets. Who hasn't done that? That's been there since the 50s, whatever, right? Now, he says, throughout the night, it was escalating in violence, escalating in targeting, and then culminating in what I see as an enhancement, by the way, that can receive the death penalty. If you shoot an explosive incendiary device at a car with a cop inside, that is absolutely death penalty eligible. So I think here they're making the right statements, but now we need to see it backed up with arrests and with sentences that are commensurate with the crime, not the ages.
Yeah, it's a great point, Harris, especially when you look and you have the union saying that the city was hell-bent that these individuals were hell-bent on attacking law enforcement officers. You know, we see this in Portland, and people like to infantilize the kids there. They're on a naked bike ride in Portland. No, they tried to burn down a place that law enforcement inhabits in an ICE facility. And here again, targeting a guy in a car with a fire.
Yeah, I just want to visit this idea, though, that they are somehow adolescents working through aggression and trying to get older. I mean, these are men. These are men and women of adult ages. At that age, at 18, you could fight in a war for this country.
Knock 'em up.
They've decided to take their anger and purpose their violence toward, I don't know. I don't even know what you call this because it's dangerous. So I like a one-strike you're out theory for this particular age group. And Emily's right. So you make the punishment fit the crime, but you don't wait for it to be 2 and 3 strikes before you get tough on them. I mean, we are living in a place right now in America where soft on crime policies have gotten out of hand. So maybe they started when they were young and have just gotten better at it now. Well, then let's have that tougher conversation legally with them while they're still young.
You know, John, I wonder where this attitude and
you have that happening in Chicago with the young scholars. You know, Brennan Johnson talking about the young scholars, you know, who were robbing like up and down Michigan Avenue. You had AOC saying, oh, they're stealing because they're hungry. Like, I'm sorry. You're stealing a like $6,000 Gucci bag because you're hungry? Like, really? Stupids.
This disrespect for police comes from. And I started thinking about it, and I think back to 2014, 2015, some of the narratives that were sown during the Obama administration around Michael Brown, hands up, don't shoot. And then Obama's DOJ comes out and says, hey, nope, nothing to see here. That was lawful self-defense. Kamala doubled down on the false narrative many years later. I bring that up because people have been taught, it's been sown in their head politically to disrespect police, disrespect law enforcement. And we know the bad apple in law enforcement is the rare exception. These are heroic men and women.
Yeah, the cops have a very, very difficult job. And I have a bunch of friends who are cops. I've got friends who are cops during riots. I've got friends who are cops at the point that you're talking about in our country where, unfortunately, just the mood against police went way, way bad. I remember a friend of mine was taking his daughter to soccer practice, and he got off his shift, and he was in uniform. And people at soccer practice were like looking at him, giving him side eye. Somebody walked up and made a comment to him. And they already have a difficult job enough as it is dealing with all of these things that you saw in the video, that like you need that support from the officials. And of course, now the governor of Massachusetts seems to be saying the right things, but how are they actually going to back it up? You know, the mayor of Boston has been very anti-police throughout her tenure. And we know, and you mentioned Portland, in the state of Oregon, they spend more money on illegal health care than they do for cops.
Yeah, I mean, you took the words out of my mouth. As you look at this, Molly, I mean, these are violent scenes. And you have Governor Maura Healey saying, we have a zero tolerance policy. Well, really? When Boston's Mayor Michelle Wu has repeatedly bucked Tom Homan, trying to play the strong woman, we won't work with ICE.
Well, you know, you're right that these anti-police narratives took root more than a decade ago, but they really got going during the BLM riots in 2020. And we saw there just an actual agenda to decrease law and order on city streets, to remove police officers. And this wasn't just supported by the Democrat Party and the media, but also corporations, which I think we should remember gave $100 billion to the BLM movement. Criminals and Antifa and other left-wing terror groups understand that to gain political control, you actually need to control the streets. And so it's not surprising that we're seeing these problems in both of these areas. And Portland has, to your point, John, has actually helped some of these criminals and Antifa networks think about how to avoid accountability for what they're doing to the city.
Yeah, and just a reminder, Kamala Harris solicited money and donations for the Minnesota Freedom Fund. And part of that money from that fund was used to bail out people in those 2020 riots. So that's how a narrative takes hold over time.
Hey, everyone. I'm Emily Campagno.
So you guys seen that? Let me know your thoughts in the comment. Like, what do you think would be a good way to kind of, I guess, combat this, like, letting these kids run wild? Like, what do you think are some of the rules that we should be implementing? Like, me growing up, I'm, again, Gen Xer over here, latchkey kid. When my mom disciplined me, like, I deserved it. You know, like, I'm not saying go beat your children. Like, no. But I think having accountability and consequences to actions, I think that's something we need to bring back. And I think parents should be allowed to discipline their children in the right way. But let me know your thoughts in the comment below. Like, what are your thoughts and how should we move forward from this? and what kind of consequences do you think these kids should have. But yeah, that's all I have for now. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Oh yeah, and don't forget to hit that notification bell. Till next time, have a good one.